Our reading this morning is from Matthew, the 2nd chapter, verses 1 through 12. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose, and we have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all of Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen, when it rose ahead of them, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
This is your last Bible quiz during the Christmas season. Those of you who come to Bible study, and if you visited the 8:45 service during December, you've had a Bible quiz all the way through. But this is the last question on the Bible quiz. And you are to be warned, it is a trick question, so be careful, right? How many wise men were there?
Unknown.
That's right, unknown. We do not know how many wise men there were. You're all going, 3? No. I know, there are 3 in the nativity scene, and I appreciate the children who processed them in this morning. Matthew, who wrote the gospel that the wise men are in, only cared about 3 things about wise men, and one of them was not how many there were. We don't know how many wise men there were. Maybe there were 2 who brought gold and frankincense and myrrh, and so that meant there were 4. Or maybe there were 12 who brought myrrh. We don't know. Matthew didn't care. Matthew didn't care. He only cared about 3 things. First of all, Matthew cared about the fact that the wise men were foreigners. The wise men were foreigners. They were not Jews. And Matthew was very deliberate about pointing out they were from the east. Now, that didn't help much, because there's a whole lot that's east of Israel. So we don't know where they came from. Matthew didn't care about that. The only thing Matthew cared about was to make sure that you and I understood that Jesus had been born, and it was important not just for Jews, but for non-Jews as well. So that's one thing that Matthew thought was important about wise men. Not how many there were, and not where they came from. Just that they were not from Israel. Now, the second thing that Matthew thought was important enough to mention was the fact that these were what are known as magi. And those are astrologers, people who study stars and then try to figure out what stars mean. And so these were men who paid attention to the night sky, so that when a new star came up, they knew about it, and they did interpretation that this meant a new king, and they wanted to go and worship him. Now, I don't know don't go out at night that much anyway, but even when I do, there's so much light from the city. You can barely see the Big Dipper, much less a new star coming up. But that was important enough for Matthew to mention. Now, the third thing that Matthew thought was important enough to mention were the gifts. And that's where we get the three business. Because they brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now, the hymn that we just sang, We Three Kings, there is no better interpretation. Nobody does it better. Gold is because Jesus was a king. Frankincense, which is kind of perfume that the smoke goes up, well, that's what you sent your prayers up to God in. And so frankincense means that you're acknowledging Jesus as God. And myrrh is an ointment that's used to anoint the dead. And so Matthew, even in the birth story, is pointing to the cross about what Jesus is going to do in the end of his adult life. So the gifts said something as far as Matthew is concerned. But that's all that Matthew cares about. That's all Matthew cares about. He does not care where they came from. Now, there are later legends that develop, and so there are some paintings. If you look closely at the wise men in some of the medieval or Renaissance paintings, you'll notice that one of them is black, and one of them is Asian, and one of them is white. And that represented the three continents that were known at the time. And if you go wandering into the literature in the 4th or 5th century of the church, after a while, they began to develop names. Melchior and Balthasar, and the third one who I can't remember at the moment. But anyway, so they developed a name. Matthew didn't care about any of that. The thing is, though, let's face it, you and I care. You and I wish that Matthew put a little more information about the wise men in there. These are very mysterious figures in the Bible. We want more information so we can sympathize with those people who tried to paint them, or who tried to give them names, or a little bit of personality, or something. For instance, okay, I was doing some research about 12th night. Yesterday was the 12th day of Christmas. So I was doing a little research. I found out something. And that is, you remember King Henry VIII of England, one of the 6 wives? Okay, well, in King Henry VIII's day, the English celebrated Christmas from Christmas Day until February the 2nd. You talk about leaving your Christmas decorations up. Let's face it, if you and I go walk through our neighborhood and our neighbors have left their Christmas decorations up for another couple of weeks, we're going to begin to wonder, what happened in that household? Why haven't they gotten out and done something? I wondered that now. A couple of my neighbors still have their Halloween stuff out. What happened there? But imagine going all the way to February 2nd. Now, when Victoria was queen, back in the 1800s, the businessmen began to persuade her, listen, Your Majesty, we're very sorry, but we've got to cut this short. And so the whole business, about 12 days of Christmas, these businessmen persuaded the queen to help spread the rumor that if you left your decorations up past the 12th day of Christmas, it was bad luck. Because what they were saying is, we need these people to get back to work. So if they'll take their decorations down, Christmas is over, let's go back to work. So if you haven't taken your decorations down yet, fine. If you don't make it to February the 2nd, you just say, well, I'm a fan of Henry VIII. And you'll be all right. But you and I wonder about wise men. And so the passage that Jerry read this morning, that's the last of Christmas passages, at least until next season. So the last verse that you and I have during this season goes something like this. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, the wise men returned to their home by another road. And when I hear that, my question for Matthew, who doesn't care, was, what did they do when they got home? Here they've been. They have acknowledged this is a king. This is God. take flight with them. Well, the wise men went home, and then what did they do? Now, maybe you've already taken down your Christmas decorations, but I'm just beginning to work on them. So I took the nativity scene that was in my office off my desk. I got this probably 20 years ago at a mission market. It's from South America, and it has 6 pieces. It has Mary and Joseph, and an angel, and the baby Jesus, and a donkey, and a cow. And ever since I got this thing, I have never been able to get the 6 pieces back in the box so that the box closes all the way. I wrestle with it every year, and I finally give up. This morning at the 8:45 service, I was fiddling with it, and Gail Wills couldn't stand it anymore. She took it out of my hand. She figured out how they fit. So now I'm going to be able to put these things away. I wrote it down on the top of the box now, so I don't have to go. But I got a problem. I always have a problem taking down Christmas decorations. Yeah, that's it. But I have a philosophical problem as well. I have a philosophical problem because when I start putting away my manger scenes, it means I'm putting baby Jesus in a box and then putting him on a shelf. Not to be seen till next November or December. And that's a philosophical problem for me. Maybe a theological problem. I'm like the wise men. They came, they worshiped, they gave their gifts, and then they went home. We've had Christmas. We've had trees and lights and candles and nativity scenes. And this week, we're going to put baby Jesus in a box and put him on a shelf until next year. And there's something wrong with that, friends. There's something wrong with that. Now, I am not going to leave baby Jesus out. I'm not advocating that. But I think there's a problem because sometimes, spiritually, you and I put Jesus back on the shelf after Christmas. Perhaps not to be seen again until Easter. And there's a theological problem wrong with that. Here we've had Christmas. And the reality is Christmas, we call it Jesus' birthday. But we confuse the children. Because for 5 weeks now, we've had Jesus as a baby. And next week, we're going to baptize Jesus the adult. And that confuses the kids because it's only a week in between those 2 events. The reality is Christmas is not about Jesus as being a baby. You and I don't celebrate our birthdays by calling out our baby pictures, do we? Christmas is about Jesus in our lives. God being made flesh in us. Our Lord Emmanuel, God with us. And Christmas is yet another reminder that you and I are followers of Jesus Christ. Not the baby, but the adult that he grew into. And the problem is that sometimes after Christmas, we put Jesus in a box and stuff him up on a shelf, and we go back to being what we always were before Christmas. And that's not going to get the kingdom anywhere. Christmas is a time for us to meet the living Jesus, to be changed, to be transformed into something new. And if we put him in a box and put him on the shelf and go back to doing what we've always done, we're not going to get very far. You know, I wonder what the wise men did when they went home. I wonder what we're going to do when we go home. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.